Ireland in going forward unless we also raise our manufacturing quality.
So just here today we've been speaking about what we see already has been the impact of Brexit on the life sciences sector. So obviously the future, nobody really knows what's going to happen, but already today we can see a number of changes, a number of impacts that it's already had, and we just give a little talk today about that.
Can you just allude us to some of these impacts, some of the maybe more apparent ones that you can identify at face value, and then I'm very interested in knowing maybe these hidden impacts that maybe people aren't really going to realise until maybe it's too late.
Sure. So I mean, some very practical stuff that we've seen of late is that if you take Almac, which is a very strong player in the pharmaceutical clinical trial market here in Northern Ireland, have been a fantastic success story. 4,000 employees. Their last investment actually came south of the border, so they invested about £30 million in some facilities in the south because they needed to prepare themselves and de-risk the business from a Brexit perspective. We've seen another company called PCI Services, so a US company, previously would have invested in Wales, and again the last two investments were made in the Republic. They bought a company and they also set up new facilities there. Just the last couple of weeks we've seen a company based again in the UK that who've seen their work dry up in the pharma services area and have decided to set up again in the south. So those are very obvious things that happen. People can see when those investments are made. Behind the scenes then, you have the Medical Health Regulatory Authority in the UK that are now feeling under a lot of pressure. They're seeing that they will allow European medicines to come into the UK market, but the Europeans have not reciprocated that process. So there's a lot of impact there. We see things like Sanofi in the UK, for example, who have started to lay off people. So they've had quality control people in the UK that are no longer relevant because they can't batch release product in the UK, it won't be accepted into their markets in Europe. So some of that stuff happens by the sea. Public wouldn't be so aware of it, but within the industry it's actually making a big change already.
Obviously, your business it works with supply chain services. I would imagine that a frictionless border at present and free movement is imperative to how you deal with your business. So what are your views then on a potential sort of hard border here? What implications would that have, not just for you, but for the maintenance and the ability for all supply chain services to deliver across the island of Ireland?
I mean, for our own business, we do have operations here in the north, in Craigavon, for our clients, and we bring in material all over the world into Northern Ireland, both from Europe and from Asia as well. Like when we looked at this to see what the effects were happening today, we also looked at, okay, is there an upside here? Right, maybe for the UK economy, let's say maybe again in life sciences, is it possible that you could do other trade agreements or across the globe, etc. And really we couldn't see where the upside was. And particularly in life sciences, in such a regulated industry, you know it's very difficult to go against the flow of regulation. I mean, and again, you know, I spoke a little bit about the some of the positive impacts of Brexit maybe south of the border, but like nobody in the south is under any illusion. You know, particularly a no-deal Brexit will have massive economic negative effects in the Republic, and you know, compared to the mainland, we're going to be the next country that suffers the most. So I think everybody's nervous about a border going up. I think it has to play out obviously a little bit, and maybe what the border looks like on the first day is not what it looks like 12 months down the line. But I also get the feeling that just listening to the Irish government and maybe the UK government as well, and listening to the Europeans, I would fear if there was a no-deal Brexit that I think you will see a border. I think the Europeans will expect a border to be there, and the problem for the South is if they don't put the border at Northern Ireland, then they have to put the border between in France or in Holland or whatever. So the goods will either get stopped at the north or they're going to get stopped east-west. So there's a risk in either way if there's a no deal. So that's really serious. And if you look from an investment point of view, you know, everybody's competing particularly to bring in Asian or US companies, and particularly again in life sciences, you've got so much investment in the south in terms of pharmaceutical and medical device. If it's a thing that as an island we're now seeing being is more on the periphery, you know, how is that going to affect our ability to attract further investment? If new foreign direct investment comes in, maybe it doesn't go to the UK, maybe it doesn't go to Ireland, maybe it'll go to the continent now, because we're seeing as being very peripheral. So it has a big impact.
I'm just interested to get your views on the politics